There's definitely a lot of things I regret about my single years. I spent nights hanging out until 2 a.m. playing board games, distracting myself because I couldn't stand the thought and the silence of being home alone. I thought I was just enjoying my youth, that I was spending time in Christian community. But now that I'm married, I realized something that kind of haunts me, that I wasn't just killing time, I was stealing it. See, I had to learn the hard way that playing Catan at 3 a.m. for the fourth night in a row isn't building brotherhood, it's avoiding your calling. And when I was single, I actually had a YouTube video that hit 90,000 views, and then the next one hit 80,000 views. I had time to build a channel that could have given my family so much freedom today. Instead, I used that time to escape my loneliness through cheap distractions. I fixed the feeling of being alone, but I didn't fix my heart of loneliness. And because of that, I'm working harder today as a father than I ever should have had to. If you're single, you don't have a waiting problem. You have a stewardship problem. And today I'm going to tell you why the gift of singleness is actually a responsibility and how you can stop stealing from the wife and the kids you haven't even met yet. Look, I get it. You're at the church or your buddy's apartment and it's 11 p.m. The official hangout or the evening service ended an hour ago, but nobody's leaving. Instead, somebody pulls out Catan or they start another round of Smash Bros. And you think, this is great. I'm in fellowship. I'm building brothers. But let's be real for a second. By the time 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. rolls around, you aren't talking about Jesus. You aren't talking about your struggles or visions for the future. You're just there. You're staying because the thought of going back to your quiet home alone and facing that empty bed feels like a weight that you aren't ready to carry yet. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm actually saying these things because this was actually me. I spent years doing this. I told myself I was being a good church community member, but looking back, I wasn't building brothers. I was avoiding my calling. I was using community as an excuse for escapism. The problem with using people to fix your loneliness is that it's actually a Band-Aid fix. I'd be out until 3 a.m. laughing, winning some games, feeling fine, but then I'd drive home and I'd walk to my home, hop in the shower, and then the second the water hit my shoulders, it was back. That hollow, heavy, empty feeling. The loneliness didn't go anywhere. It was just waiting for me to be alone again. And here's the thing. While I was fellowshipping, I was actually ignoring the very things God was calling me to build, the future God was calling me to build. I had that YouTube channel, I hit 90K views, 80K views. I had a spark there and there was potential. But instead, I chose the 2 a.m. board game over the grind. I thought I was being social and I was being a good Christian, but in reality, I was being lazy with the time God gave me. And in fact, I might have even been in sin because I was idolizing friendship, committing the sin of idolatry. But why does that matter so much? Why am I being so hard on the late night board game? Because right now, I'm in the Hawaii season of my life. And I'm realizing the overtime season that I skipped back then is costing me a fortune today. Think about it like this. Imagine you're planning the trip of a lifetime, let's say Hawaii. Personally, I love Hawaii. In fact, I even got married there. Now, there are two ways to handle this trip. Option A is you work your tail off. You take double shifts, you stay late, you grind out overtime so that by the time you step on that plane, the trip is paid for. And when you get back to the beach, you aren't checking your bank account, you aren't stressed, you're just there. You're present. Option B is you don't do any of that. You just enjoy your youth. You live in the moment. And then you get to Hawaii And the whole time you're there, you're stressed. You're checking your phone for work emails, or you're worried about how you're going to pay for the next dinner. And you're basically working while you're on vacation. Marriage is Hawaii. It's the most beautiful, fulfilling vacation-like season of my life. I love being a dad. I love being a husband. But here's the thing. I'm in Hawaii right now, but having to work overtime, the overtime that I skipped when I was 22, because I didn't grind out that YouTube channel or a small business, or even just grind out a 9 to 5 career when I had 14 hours of free time. I'm having to grind it up now in the cracks of life between diaper changes and spending quality time with my life. There are guys that'll say, I'll get serious about my career once I have a family to provide for. But that's the worst time to get serious. If you wait until then, you're going to be with having an at-work mentality while you're sitting on the floor trying to play with your kids. You think you're saving your energy now and you're chilling, but you're not. You're just delaying the work. And take it from me, work is always harder to do when the house is full of people than when it's empty. But it's not just about the money, all right? It's about the person you are when you finally show up to the resort. Because while many people won't say this out loud, deep down, I think most guys are deep down, I think they're thinking this. They're showing up to marriage with a heart that's still broken, expecting their wife to be the one who finally fixes it. And here's what I mean, okay? People don't say this part out loud. And people will even say that this isn't how they think. But in their heart of hearts, if they're really being honest with themselves, I think a lot of people think that marriage is a fixing station. Thinking, if I can just find the right girl, I'll stop being lonely. If I find my wife, I'll finally feel complete. I denied it, but internally my heart was wrestling with these thoughts, to be honest. But here's the reality. Marriage doesn't fix you. If you struggle with loneliness when you're single, you're going to be struggling with loneliness when you're married. But because you're married, there's so much more weight and consequence to that struggle. I wish I had spent my single years in therapy. I wish that I had spent time alone at home, not trying to run away from the silence, but just sitting in it with God and asking Him, why am I this way? Why am I so afraid to be by myself? But instead of working on my heart, I was working on my Catan strategy. And what happens is you show up to your wedding day with all these engine problems. That you've been ignoring these engine problems for years, and you think your wife is going to be the mechanic who fixes your engine problems. But she's not the mechanic, she's actually your passenger. And now not only is the engine still smoking, but now you've got a wife and kids in the car with you, and they're the ones that suffer when you break down. Stewardship isn't just about how you handle your money or how you handle your YouTube channel or your business. It's how you steward your soul. And if you don't take the time to get healthy now, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you're essentially asking your future wife to pay the debt that you were too lazy to do when you were single. You have something right now that I would pay $1 million for. And it's something that you probably find annoying or boring to hear about, but in reality, it is your greatest advantage, and it's undivided attention. I know when you're single and you hear the words undivided attention, it kind of makes you cringe. It sounds like a consolation prize that married guys try to tell you and console you with when you're feeling lonely on a Friday night. But I'm telling you, as a guy who now has divided attention, and happily so, that you have no idea what the gift is you're sitting on. In 1 Corinthians, it talks about how the unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how he can please the Lord. But the married man, he's anxious about the things of the world, like taking care of his wife or taking care of his kids. And that is so true. Every decision I make now has to pass through the family filter. If I want to spend 5 hours editing a video, That's 5 hours I'm not with my wife or playing with my kids, and my attention is by design split. But you have the gift of time. You can decide that on 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, you're gonna spend the next 4 hours learning a new skill, grinding out a business plan, or diving into the Word of God, and nobody is gonna come knocking on your door. You have the ability to be obsessed. I think about that YouTube channel all the time. Back then, if I wanted to, I could have stayed up all night editing. I could have spent my entire Saturday filming. I had 100% of my mental bandwidth available to build a future. But because I was so focused on running away from my loneliness, I traded the gift of time for board games and distractions. I could have made maybe 3, 5, even 10K a month in passive income right now if I had grinded it out. Think about what that could mean for my family. We would be in actual Hawaii right now. But instead, I'm grinding here alone while my wife and kids are enjoying a beautiful day in the park. I'm here in my kid's bedroom that's also an office. It's not ideal. Don't wait until you have a reason to be productive. Your future family is the reason. The man you are becoming in the dark, when no one is watching, when no girl is impressed, is the man who is going to have to lead a household one day. If you can't steward your undivided attention now, why do you think you'll be able to steward a family later? I'm not saying you should go home tonight and delete every game off your phone, or that you should never hang out with your friends again. Community, let's get this straight, community is a gift, and it's absolutely necessary in your walk with Christ. But if community just becomes a hiding place from your calling, from doing what you need to do, then it can be a trap. This season of your life isn't going to last forever. One day, you're going to be standing at the end of an aisle, watching a woman walk towards you, and in that moment, the season's over. I want you to be able to look at her in the eye and know that you didn't steal from her, that you used your single years to become the man that she deserves. That you got your career or your business or something going, and you did the hard work in therapy, and you sat in silence with God until the loneliness didn't scare you anymore. And if you need help doing that, I actually have a video about effectively reading the Bible that you can check out on the screen.